Hello my fellow chairs, welcome back to E4 Mission Tree Only, this series where you look at a nation's mission tree within its entirety and without expanding outside of that mission tree. Today we are going to be playing as one of the most popular nations in all of E4, and that is the nation of Burgundy. So without wasting any more time, let's get into it as Burgundy. So here we are, we start out with 16,000 troops. And each one of our subjects can have about 6,000 to 7,000 troops as well. Unless you're Nevers, then you're kind of stuck with 3,000 guys. And the reason why we are all here, this is the Burgundian mission tree. Some of the early on missions is we just simply have to integrate our subject, make all of our subjects more loyal, either rival or ally England or France, become buddy-buddy with the Pope, resolve the Burgundian succession crisis by the year 1500, along with basically balancing out our states in terms of loyalty and crownlands as well. So yes, we are going to be doing the entire Burgundian mission tree along with the Lotharingian mission tree, which does add, I think it's an additional 5 or 6 missions when you actually go ahead and form Lotharingia. So I went ahead, did all my estate stuff. Really, the most important one out of all my estate stuff that I'm doing here is strong duchies. That's going to lower the liberty desire of all my subjects. I can immediately complete placate subjects, get a permanent claim on Lorraine. And now we have to complete this. We just simply have to integrate our subjects, own at least 10 provinces, pretty much in the Low Countries. And then all of a sudden we get diplo power, local tax, monthly autonomy change, and then we have a kingdom divided, which just simply requires us to own the entire Lorraine area. And then we get even more permanent claims, this time on Liège, Aachen, Lune, and Upper Guelders. Now in terms of rivals, we are going to go ahead and rival England. France is hostile towards me, so might as well rival France. This way we could go ahead. Does it have to be a scornful insult? No, it could just be a regular insult. So we'll go ahead and insult both of these guys. Complete another mission, giving us improved relations, which is going to be very valuable, so we can actually improve relations with the Papal States right away, maybe secure an alliance with them. Now, I think it's very fair to mention, because we are like one of the more powerful nations in all of Europe at this time. I mean, we could have 22,000 troops. We actually started with a decent amount of army professionalism, and Burgundy has fantastic ideas, especially early on with the morale of armies and diplo relations. So it's going to be good to kind of give you that bit of an edge over certain nations like France, Austria, England, Savoy, or any other HRE nation as well, also allowing you to establish more alliances as well to basically protect you defensively. When you complete all the Burgundian ideas, you get 15% goods produced modifier. Early on, you get some prestige, and what is really nice about Burgundy, and if you decide you could go for mercenary ideas and administrative ideas, and you're going to have extremely cheap mercs, but we get mercenary maintenance, manpower, and later on we get discipline. And after that, we get trade efficiency, tolerance of heretics, and 25% national manpower modifier. Now, the interesting thing about our campaign is obviously we are doing this with the goal in mind of forming Lotharingia, so some of the ideas we're going to have to make sure also synchronize very well with Lotharingia when we actually get into forming them. We're going to go ahead, try and ally some of these electors, just so that way we could hopefully become the emperor, and obviously that's going to make Austria weaker. That's also going to allow us to pursue our claims to forming Lotharingia a little bit faster as well too. I mean, luckily for us too, like most of these guys are actually pretty strong. Like, I mean, Cologne, Palatinate, Brandenburg, they all can bring a decent amount of troops to each and every single fight. I can get Bohemia. Oh yeah, I definitely could if I just royal marry them or improve relations with them. All I need to do is just get one of these guys pretty much to start voting for me, which we got Cologne all of a sudden voting for us. They liked our smell. And extremely unlucky, unfortunate news for me. We're only 2 months into the game and our perfect ruler literally died. What I'm also going to do is actually, Austria is not rival to us. I got very lucky in that regard. I'm going to improve relations with them because I have a feeling that the whole Burgundian succession crisis is going to happen a little bit earlier than I anticipated. That's going to trigger an event in which we could actually join the HRE. So it all depends on Austria and how they feel about us. If I can get them to be friendos with me, or at least high relations with them, I think we'll be okay and actually be able to join the HRE, and that'll make our path to being the emperor a lot easier. Okay, so something fantastic happened in my game. France actually abandoned province. Even though they are part of their dynasty, they said, nah, I'm good on being allies with you. They're not guaranteeing these guys. So we're going to go ahead actually invade a province. And we're also going to be able to take Lorraine as well. Though we're probably going to incur a good amount of AE because, I mean, between these two provinces, we're looking at like 32 development. These two, you know, it's not that much. But these three provinces are part of the HRE, so we may or may not get a coalition out of this. Also calling the Papal States, just to give them actually some land down here, maybe get some favors with them. It'd be actually pretty nice. So Provence just unconditionally surrendered to us, hand all this over to the Papal States. And I'm thinking this is what we're going to do. We're going to take these two provinces for ourselves, both of Verdun and Barrois, and Lorraine. We're actually going to make Provence actually hand them over. They're actually a personal union partner for them. We're going to go ahead just vassalize these guys. This will give us a bit of a coalition, as you guys can see, 71 AE. So it's really not that bad. It's just obviously that limits our expansion for a long time at this point. And because Lorraine is a vassal, we just simply have to wait about 5 to 10 years. We could go ahead, integrate them, and we could complete a kingdom divided, getting even more permanent claims, which we could press, which actually when our AE goes down, which our AE is not that bad. Actually, it showed 71, but everybody only has about 30 to 40 with us in terms of AE, so that's okay. We're just going to sit here, we're going to chill. I'm also going to delete this fort in Verdun because it is way too expensive. We finally got our ruler, Charles, in charge over here. He's 15 years old. And in terms of Diplo, he's really bad. As a general, though, he's pretty decent. He's a 2 for 1. I'm going to go ahead and focus on Diplo a bit here. We are making a little bit of money, so we could hire a Diplo rep guy just to keep people a little bit more happy with us. And I'm also starting to improve relations with my subjects with the intention to actually integrate Nevers, hopefully very, very soon. So we could go ahead and start completing some of these claims, and the whole empire in Italy thing is happening right now, in which the emperor is like, forget about Italy. So, and plus Savoy's excommunicated, so it would actually be fantastic to go ahead, get those permanent claims on Savoy and take almost their entire country away from them. I made 3 of the French subjects in Bourbonnais, Auvergne, and also Orleans like me up to 100. I'm not in a regency, as our boy Charles is finally in charge. We could go ahead and get permanent claims on France, and all of their subjects are going to be very upset with the French. Looking at our government reforms here, we actually have a unique one known as Burgundian State, which gives us extra diplo relations, free change rival cost, free fort maintenance on borders with rivals, and -5 years for personal union integration. That whole Iberian wedding thing just happened, which actually just made my friend Castile a lot stronger. Now, if only they just did not like France, then I could easily get them into a war with each other. Finally, with my subject Nevers out of the way, we get even more permanent claims, this time against Savoy and Switzerland. We're still part of the HRE. I think they're not gonna leave the HRE, I think, until like almost 1470, something like that. And that whole Burgundian secession thing just happened here. We could either go ahead and integrate with Austria, fall under Castile, or the French. I'm going to be honest. We got Marie, yes. We got our 453. I was going to say, though, I'm going to be honest. I'm okay with us leading to war with both Austria and France. I mean, like, we've built up a pretty good alliance chain. I was planning on going to war against France anyways, so if they decided to wombo, let's freaking wombo, man. And here we go, fighting the Austrians for Prague. And of course they're going to call in Hungary. Oh, they're actually a subject under them. Okay, I was wondering about that. I mean, the Austrians, they really don't stand a chance against our army right now. Okay, and this is what our peace deal against France is going to look like. I'm going to take these 2 provinces. They're part of the Champagne area or state that I already have. Thank you, Nevers. I'm also going to take the province of Valois and Paris, so we can go ahead and complete a mission, though I don't know if we'll actually be able to complete it right away. quite simply because, oh, we actually do own more development in France than the French do. We just simply need to own Paris as a core and have an army that's actually larger or equal to that of the French. We're also starting to get a looming disaster, which is a civil war right now, and it's because our legitimacy is kind of sort of not the best. And well, look at that. The Shadow Kingdom event happened, meaning that Italy finally left the HRE and should be able to beat down on Savoy and their subjects of Geneva very, very soon. Once we actually finish up this war against Austria, we're going to be able to trigger this event in which all of our provinces become part of the HRE. So I'm assuming that just means in general, like obviously the Emperor's going to have to vote on it. But I really, really hope that we're going to be able to become part of the HRE here. Honestly, I'm just going to take all of Austria's money. I just need to basically just trigger that event. And I need to join the HRE right now. We get the laws of Duchess Marie. We got two options. Either we could go get a free stability. We get crisis averted until the death of Marie, which means we get Diplo, Reputation +2, and yearly legitimacy, or we could completely change the laws of inheritance within our country, giving us 20% female advisor chance and improve relations, which that's kind of the nicer part of that decision right there till the end of the game. So I'll go ahead and take that. And would you look at that? Emperor decided, you know what, Burgundy? You ain't that bad, so they invited us into HRE. Fantastic. Now we get even more permanent claims on these guys, and I'm going to be making a play for the emperorship. So I allied all of the electors. We're going to be trying, as I mentioned, to become the emperor of the HRE, because in order to actually complete this mission, I'm pretty sure we actually have to be the emperor. Or it's this one right here, in which we actually have to become the emperor. And now that I have 50 papal influence, I re-allied the Pope. So our relations are over 100. We're going to get yearly papal influence for the next 20 years. Now we got Feast of the Pheasants. I need to be friends with two countries that do not like the Ottoman Empire. So one of them being Poland. And they have to be Catholic too. One of them being Poland and one of them being Austria. Oh, now that's interesting. Bohemia is now the emperor. I actually did not expect Bohemia to become the emperor. That's with two electors backing them. Oh, that's right. I didn't even think about it, but I have Marie as my queen right now, so there's no way I could actually become the emperor because the whole pragmatic sanction thing has not happened just yet. I finally have the same amount of troops as France. And again, we've already established I have more development than France in France. So I'm going to go ahead and complete this, get morale of armies, Diplo relations for the next 20 years, and Marie, King of the Franks, happens. We get all of the French subjects as my subjects, along with permanent claims on the rest of France. You guys might hate me for this. We're going to backtrack on saying that we're going to become the emperor of the HRE, because when I looked more into Lotharingia's mission tree, I looked, yeah, that's right, I peeked a little bit ahead. I mean, we're going to have to pretty much conquer, like, most of Germany. We're going to have to conquer all of South Germany, actually, and a good portion of northern Germany. And to be honest with you, it only makes more sense to go ahead and dismantle the HRE, form Lotharingia that way, with free expansion over here. And one of the ideas that's going to best synchronize with Lotharingian ideas is actually espionage ideas, because they get AE impact within their ideas. It's the last one, ambition. But we could definitely use that to our advantage, get minus 30%. Plus early on here, with Age of Discovery, we get another minus 10%. So, we'll get minus 30 AE on stuff. And obviously transfer subjects, peace treaty thing, I like that. I like that a lot. I'm thinking we're going to actually deck on Switzerland here, which will call on our ally Bohemia. All I have to do is just simply occupy their capital. We could dismantle the HRE, and we have free reign to conquer literally everything else over here. And like that, we could go ahead, dismantle the HRE. Boom, there we go. 200 splendor, prestige, power projection. We can all of a sudden become a kingdom again. And when it comes to missions, we could literally just bypass this, because we just need 5 nations in North or South Germany with at least 60 opinion of us. We get 5 or 15 prestige and 2 diplo relation or diplo rep. Oh my goodness, I cannot speak. And then instead of us being the HRE emperor, we just simply have to own 25 provinces in North and South Germany, and no country can have 10 or more provinces in North or South Germany. I mean, it does change in a good way. I actually do like how it does change. And what I'm going to do before I actually end this war is I'm going to get the AE, aggressive expansion impact modifier, before I take any of these provinces. Now, in terms of AE, taking these, sure, it's only 2 provinces, but burn typically causes a coalition when you actually take that one province. We're only going to be suffering about 15 aggressive expansion after taking those 2 provinces from Switzerland. Also going to delete this fort. And also, as Burgundy, you start out as a duchy, we finally became a kingdom, which means our governing capacity went through the roof. Now, I need to start gearing up for a war against Savoy, or literally anybody else over here in the HRE. I'm even okay with invading like Aachen, who literally is like allied to nobody, or even Berg. And also, now that I'm no longer part of the HRE, I can actually annex my subject to Lorraine, who was originally a member of the HRE, and I'm not going to get any negative modifiers towards anybody in Germany at this point, because I'm integrating a province, or I'm integrating these 2 provinces. And Bohemia's like, you know what? You ruined my game. I finally became the emperor of the HRE, all that stuff. I became the most powerful nation in Europe. But you know what? I still want to be your friend. I like that type of relationship. I like that I could beat up on Bohemia and they'll still come crawling back like, hey, I still want to be your friend. I'm going to go ahead and put all my allies to work here as we go ahead and invade France, co-belligerent Savoy, so we could actually take the entire northern portion of Savoy. With Lorraine's annexation into our country, we get permanent claims on a bunch of provinces over here in the Low Countries region. So like on all of Liège over here, province from Galray, and literally like Cleves, and provinces owned by Berg. So far, this is what our claims and conquests are looking like. With France, we're going to do something like this. I'm going to take 4 provinces for myself. I'm going to give Orleans the province of Berry, and then Foix down here, I'm going to give these 2 provinces. Now let's go ahead and core all this stuff up. And when looking at our mission tree, because I took over Savoy's capital, I can now complete this mission, get even more permanent claims, this time on the rest of Savoy. And what I'm doing right now, because we do have quite a bit of a coalition forming against us here, we're going to sit, we're going to chill, we're going to get all of our manpower back. I'm also going to start focusing on some of these missions like appease the estates, or even like feast of pheasants over here. Some of the things that are a little bit more not conquesty, even though the vast majority of the Burgundian missions, now that I'm thinking about it, are all about conquering land. It's not so much about like development or building things like most other mission trees typically are. Even the Ottomans, one that I did recently, like there was a good amount of missions that required us to build like temples or like marketplaces and stuff, and yet Burgundy, which is kind of more of a nation you would expect to do that with, doesn't have any missions like that at all. I'm gonna invade Austria, but with the humiliation CB, so then that way we could show strength on them, all that stuff, get some additional monarch points that we could use right away. So I can apparently complete Feast of Pheasants, this mission here. I don't know how or why. It says one of the following must be true. At least 2 of my allies need to be rivaled to the Ottomans. Any ally is a great power. Ottoman rival. Ottomans do not exist, or the Ottomans' religion is Catholic, and I cannot be in a regency. Based on my understanding of this, my only ally that is rival to these guys is Castile. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and humiliate Austria, take almost 400 ducats away from these guys. It's going to allow us to complete another age objective. If I really wanted to, I could also start a golden era, which I'm not going to just yet. We're going to save that for a little bit later. I'm going to revoke the great privilege to all of our Low Countries provinces, basically giving them a ton of autonomy. We're going to get rid of that. And now we should be making, oh yeah, I mean, we're immediately making almost 20 ducats a month. Well, would you look at that? We could actually vassalize our ally of Trier. Gotta proclaim a guarantee, give them mill access, and there we go. That tells me that we can actually vassalize all these guys. Oh man. Alright, yeah, we'll actually be able to get all these provinces without having to fight a single war pretty much. I've begun my consolidation of France. I actually full annexed France after they just got completely beaten up by England over here. Also just got out of war with Brittany, who had no allies. And I'm actually going to start a relatively large war here. We're going to go ahead, invade Provence, co-belligerent England. So pretty much we're going to try and kick England off of the mainland, while also trying to full annex Provence. Also, unfortunate news for us, but our heir Philip died. So now we have another Louis as our heir. So Queen Marie has gone through 3 heirs at this point. We've gone through Louis, Philip, and back to Louis. This man is 1 year old, and he's a 643, so he's a very good ruler. Now, his mom is 61 years old. Finally, on my estates above 60 loyalty each, I own 30% crown lands, meaning I could complete the mission, appease the estates, and we're going to gain 5% crown lands, and all of our estates are going to get an additional 10% loyalty equilibrium boost for the next 20 years. Peace deal is going to look like here. Obviously, we're going to full annex Provence, and we're going to hand over this whole area to our subject, Auvergne, down here. We're also going to take the province of Calais, start kicking England off the mainland, and eventually in our next war, obviously, we will take all of the rest of their French stuff. And because I own the entire area down here, along with some other 8 provinces that I received claims on in the previous mission here, we can now get an additional 100 administrative power, and for the next 20 years, we get Arlat restoration, yearly prestige, legitimacy, and promote culture cost, and we get permanent claims, pushing us and guiding us towards conquering northern Italy. Now, when looking at our AE, we are starting to get a lot more AE again. Luckily, you know, again, these guys are all of our subjects in most of these nations now, because the HRE does not exist. You could actually go ahead and vassalize the majority of these guys. And the day has come in which our queen is officially dead. Marie is no longer with us. So now we have to wait 7 years to go ahead and get Louis on the throne. So currently I'm fighting 4 different wars. At one point I was fighting 6 wars. Coalition wise, we're starting to get a big coalition now, at least with all the German guys. I'm also invading Savoy again. We're probably going to tick off some of these Italian guys as well too. But the plan here is, again, conquer as much of Germany, so we could go ahead and form Lotharingia. Just need to own at least 10 more provinces between all these areas here, which actually may just come down to conquering the Low Countries, I feel like. So I want to show you guys how this game's going right now. It's 1510. This is what our empires or our country is looking like right now. We basically annexed Savoy. I mean, you know, we own the majority of their country. Yes, we have Savoyard separatists. I'm getting to that. We just pretty much took over the entire Rhine area over here, and then we're going to have to start expanding over here into the Low Countries. But speaking of the Low Countries, I'm about to have the Dutch revolt if I don't move my capital over here. So yeah, Den Haag is more than likely going to become our new capital, at least for the time being. Until this whole Dutch revolt thing passes. And I really don't want to deal with that whole Dutch revolt thing. I also just full annex Brittany, but at the same time, I'm going to re-release Brittany out. I don't feel like coring any of that stuff up. And what I'm going to go ahead and start doing now, because our coalition is getting to be really, really big. And yet, at the same time, like, our alliances, I think, should be able to fend these guys off. We're going to go ahead and start consolidating all of our subjects. Maybe do a war at some point against Britain, probably, just to beat them up and kick them off of the mainland, etc. Prevent them from joining the coalition against me. And yeah, that's probably what our next 10 years is looking like. We get 15 prestige, plus 2 diplo rep, and permanent claims on the Frisia area over here, which we don't get a claim on Utrecht, which is annoying, but okay. Alright, and we're officially in the age of Reformation, thanks to Dortmund over here, who spawned the Protestant Reformation. For the most part, it's pretty much just Lubeck. Obviously, Brandenburg converted to Protestant, and it looks like Anhalt was like the other main source of Protestant. But again, I don't think we're going to really see that big of a spread. I mean, for one, like, kind of a land grab for the HRE between Poland, Austria, and me right now. Oh, and Denmark, who allied the Ottomans. I'm assuming just because they both don't like Muscovy? Yeah, that's got to be what it is. So Denmark's about to have a good game all of a sudden. So fantastic news for me. I just actually had to core all these provinces. I also just integrated my subject of Trier, and now we can complete Lothar's legacy. You need to own the province of Aachen, which is converted to Aix-la-Chapelle. You get Lorraine, and again, 25 provinces within basically the German or Germanic culture group have to be our cores. Now we get Lothar's legacy. Now I will take up Lothar's mantle, getting new traditions and ambitions. Otherwise, we just stay as Burgundy. No, we're not staying as Burgundy. We're going to go ahead and do this. Obviously, get the new traditions and ambitions. And this mission also gives us a bunch of permanent claims on like a huge chunk of Germany over here. As you guys can see, literally all of like northern part of Germany. And swapping over to Lotharingia is going to give us a few new missions, such as the Kingdom of Italy. Pretty much just have to own all of northern Italy here, which pretty much the rest of the stuff that we're going to get claims on here. We don't even have to own the entirety of Italy. It's just the northern part. Have to conquer that, complete that. So some of the other missions that we have that we just unlocked here is conquer East Francia or Francia, which is basically everything that we just got a claim on. Once we do that, we get even more permanent claims, this time on what is known as the Kingdom of Bavaria, so all of South Germany essentially. And once we own 200 provinces over here, we become an empire and get administrative efficiency +5 until the end of the game. The Burgundian Lotharingian mission tree, very good, just very conquest focused, which I mean, completely understandable, especially if you're going to be forming this nation whose ideas are geared towards conquest. You're going to get national manpower plus 25%, infantry combat ability, and once you finish up all their ideas, you get a minus 10% AE. Now you get prestige decay, 15% morale of armies, which is why I chose defensive ideas to give us 30% morale of armies, trade efficiency, idea cost, prestige, impossible advisors, an additional missionary and core creation cost. So I'm sure, as you guys can pretty much tell, we're going to be going more for like, we're going to be staying Catholic for this entire game. Next up, we're going to be picking up administrative ideas, and on top of that, our next idea groups are going to be both innovative and quality ideas afterwards. This way we could stack up the infantry combat ability. At some point, we'll probably even pick up offensive ideas just to get even more discipline within our army as well. Okay, it's finally time to give you guys an update because it's been a little bit here. So as you guys can see, obviously integrated Orleans, Auvergne, and Foix down over here. So we're pretty much like France. In terms of coalition, my coalition's pretty much gone. Austria, England, those are the only countries that actually care about my AE. And part of the reason why the coalition disbanded is because I diplo-vassalized certain nations using great influence, or great power influence actions, sending them money. So I diplo-vassalized Hesse, Friesland, Palatinate, and Munster. And the reason for Munster is just simply I'm going to use them to basically reconquer their cores that I have claims on. And I'm more than likely going to go ahead, diplo-vassalize like one more country before I start going in all these wars. And it actually may just be Brunswick, because they also have a bunch of cores on Lubeck, who I need to beat up like a lot. So after conquering quite a bit of land, particularly up in the northern part of Germany. We could complete this mission, conquer East Francia or Francia. We get even more permanent claims, this time really the rest of South Germany here. The game's pushing us literally to incorporating all of this northern part in all of South Germany here. So yeah, we just had to own at least 30 provinces down here in South Germany. That does not include Switzerland, so we are literally going to be eclipsing or encircling Switzerland over here. We're not even going to be able to go ahead and annex them. We're literally going to be forced around them. And because I've increased my total development over 1,347, and we finally reached 75 prestige, we can now become an empire. Obviously, it's going to give us a cultural union over all of our French stuff, so that's very, very nice. But even more importantly, it's going to give us additional governing capacity. Normally at this time, I would start just kind of slowing my game down, but to be honest with you, we're just going to keep it rolling. Because as we just go ahead, our truce is up with Berg. We're going to co-belligerent Frankfurt, Wurzburg, which will break our alliance with Brandenburg, unfortunately. But, I mean, it's what I gotta do. It's literally what I gotta do in order to prevent coalitions from forming and getting to be too powerful around me. I'm also gonna do some trickery, or trickeration as some people like to call it, at least in the football world. I'm gonna call in Bohemia, who is allied to Brandenburg here. Or not Brandenburg, Bavaria. And we're gonna go ahead, deck on Bavaria, hopefully being able to full annex these guys. I think, yeah, probably not. But we'll be able to get some good provinces and actually border Austria and start expanding into Austria, which would be great because our truce is going to end with them in about 7 years. Oh, I got religious civil disorder as a disaster. Okay, I guess tolerant society, why not? Finally, I've conquered the entirety of the Low Countries. I've taken the province of Utrecht for myself, and my boy Friesland, my subject over here, owns the entire state of Friesland, or Frisia. And now I could go ahead, complete Frisian conquest, which just simply requires us to own all the provinces in Frisia area, get 20 prestige, 100 mil, and we get offshore assets, which means we get 20 trade power in the North Sea for the next 20 years. Okay, our truce with Austria is over. You guys know what that means. We're going to be invading Austria. I would love to call in the Commonwealth. That's not going to happen. That's okay. Oh, Ottoman. Wait a minute. Ottomans joined on my side. Never mind. And now Hungary just declared an independence war. While we're at war with Hungary, they said, nah, screw this. I'm out of here. I don't want to get pummeled on by the Ottomans. So they just abandoned Austria altogether. Now Austria is fighting against the Hungarians, who are planning to just be independent. Also, I could go ahead and pick up my 4th idea group. Honestly, I'm thinking we're going to go with quality ideas. We've been ahead in mill for a while now. Might as well pick up a military idea. The Venetians and the Savoyards join a coalition against me. I'm just going to go ahead and invade Spain right now for their Italian stuff that I have claims on, which is Pavia, Cremona, and Mantua. Maybe I'll release out a couple nations. And I'm going to call in the Commonwealth to help me out. But the real objective out of that war is actually to beat up on the Venetians. So then that way I could get most of northern Italy away from them. Also, our truce with Bremen is over. We're going to attack them before they can even get into a coalition. So we're going to be in 3 wars right now. We're going to be in 2 really big ones with Austria and Spain. And then just a little tiny one with Bremen over here, who I'm going to full annex. And now that I'm already at war with both Spain and the Commonwealth is helping me out in that war, now we're going to start another additional war against the Venetians. So we're just going to keep this rolling pretty much. Just keep going to war with big boy Austria over here. We're just going to take something like this, essentially cutting them completely in half. Hungary doesn't really have any interest actually in expanding in Austria. They just simply want to be independent from these guys. So honestly, more power to you, Hungary. I'm also going to Royal marry Hungary in hopes that maybe I could actually ally them. Because, I mean, Hungary is a very strong nation in EU4. I will say they are one of the best nations. If you could ally them, they're one of the best ones to ally. So I'm going to go ahead and start coring this stuff up. Then we're going to try and make peace with the Venetians.
as I attempt to take all of these provinces here, which, I mean, they're two reasons away. We could definitely get that, and we are just absolutely crushing it now in Iberia, since I devoted my entire, like, pretty much my entire army into helping out the Commonwealth fight the Spanish and the Portuguese. I'm also starting to get a little bit of a coalition going on against me here. We're going to go ahead, attack the small coalition head on before it starts to get to be too big. It's also going to give us a chance to just beat up on Bavaria a little bit more as well. With Castile, this is the type of peace deal that I'm going to go ahead and give them. Basically releasing out Lucca, so these 3 provinces are going to be all under them. Hopefully I can vassalize them. Giving a province back to Florence as well. I released out Siena in my war against Austria. And of course I'm going to take these 3 provinces. For the Venetians, of course, I'm going to just take everything I have a claim on with these guys. There we go. Northern Italy is pretty much ours. I'm going to start sending my troops home. I mean, we are 200% overextension in 1576. Obviously, AJ absolutism, not a thing just yet. So this part might get a little bit rough with rebels. But because I conquered all of these provinces over here in Italy, I can now get an additional 100 admin points, which that's definitely going to help get those permanent claims on the rest of northern Italy that we need to conquer. And now that I've consolidated most of my subjects, literally the only provinces that we need to take in order to finish off our permanent claims on South Germany are all just the provinces that Austria have left, which we could probably finish in one war. Yes, we can. Which we could do that war against these guys in about 11 years. And then another war against Bavaria, which we should be able to do in about 8 years here. And remember what I said earlier, you know, get Lucca to be my subject. There we go. I just vassalized Lucca peacefully. No war whatsoever. I'm going to do the same thing to Florence, who does have a core over here on the Venetians. Plus I could feed them the province of Siena. That speeds things up a little bit more. But that's some unnecessary AE that I don't have to take for these provinces. And for those of you that are curious, out of all those wars, we started at, I think it was 30 something army tradition, maybe 36, 40. We ended up with 61. So, I mean, probably just one more good war against both Spain, the Venetians, Austria, and then maybe if I really need to, fighting somebody like Hungary or Bohemia. Well, I mean, when I go to invade Bavaria, Hungary will join, so that'll be a good way to go ahead and get some army tradition for my soldiers. I already have the prestige I need. I literally just need an army tradition. And then we get the court of Lothar III, because guess what? Our game named our ruler Lothar. Well, when he became our heir, they've been really liking the name Lothar ever since we become Lotharingia. So, oh man, so both the Ottomans and the Hungarians really beat down on the Venetians to the point where Genoa is back, to the point where we have Padua and Bologna. Oh man. All right, so Venice, I think that just made it so I could pretty much do this in like one war, maybe 2. I didn't even realize it, but Hungary actually started an invasion on Bohemia. They must have started as soon as I decked on them. I did not expect that at all. So Bohemia actually might get some land out of this. I also started a war against Saxony. They were starting to join a coalition against me. Just figured might as well do that. I'm going to go ahead and break them apart pretty much. Releasing out Thuringia, Magdeburg, Goslar, and Anhalt. I beat up Hungary, seized one province over here because they actually took this away from Austria. You know, when I originally looked at the province's interest, they had 0 interest in taking that province. But we took Istria away from them. Now we could fully annex Padua. And there's our truce with Bavaria up, and I decided not to end the alliance between them and Hungary. I'm okay with fighting the Hungarians again, considering how easy it was actually to beat them up that first time. So let's go ahead and attack them for their capital of Minga. Alright, and our truce with Spain is over. Now if only I could get Commonwealth to help me out here. I don't think I could get Portugal to break their... I mean, I could actually get them to break their alliance with Spain. but they're at war and I'm at war, so that may not happen here. And as we're winding down in this game, getting to the 1600s, nearly completing this mission tree right now, we're just going to go ahead and start a golden era. And honestly, just because I can, I'm just going to go ahead and invade Venice while I'm in this war as well, just because I already have guys down here in Italy, so might as well try and kick the Venetians completely out. Alright, so here's what we're doing to the Venetians. There's no way I'm going to be able to take Venice this war unless I sit here, build up a bunch of ships, etc. Whatever. I'm just going to take everything else I have a claim on. Then this way too, I look at it as if, at least no other Italian nation, like the Papal States, can take advantage of their weakness. And I could just straight up get everything I have a claim on, aside from their capital. Now we just simply have to wait in this Austrian war. But in the meantime, I'm going to start looking towards Castile or Spain, so I can start beating up on them. Get that army tradition that I so desperately need, because we are 13 away. And the only way that that's going to happen is if we keep fighting these guys. If we just constantly are at war with people, winning battles. Also, Austria just gave up. They realized England was not coming. So now we can full annex Austria. They're completely gone. And we're back to over 100 overextension again. But I mean, our empire is looking pretty cool. I will admit, the Lotharingian Empire does look very cool. Though that Switzerland blemish over here, I am not a fan of whatsoever. And I hate how we don't get any claims on these guys. Though I understand, it is implied that you're supposed to take these guys over. Finally, after beating up on Spain a ridiculous amount of times, we can finally complete Chivalry is Not Dead. We get court patronage until the end of the game, giving us prestige decay, prestige from land battles, impermanent 25 power projection. And that literally leaves us with just these couple handful of missions here, and literally just waiting until this one, in which we just have to occupy or integrate Friesland, and just wait until the whole Dutch revolt cannot happen, and then there we go. We're pretty much done. Okay, I'm gonna start another war over here. I've been diplo-vassalizing all these people in Germany because I'm trying to figure out the lead the empire mission here. I can't tell if it's like I have to subjugate everybody in the HRE, what would have been the HRE, or if I simply have to kick people out of like Germany. So we're gonna try to eat the easier option, I guess, of just taking Poland completely out of here. We're gonna go ahead and co-belligerent the Commonwealth in a war against Mecklenburg. Denmark and Portugal would not join. I mean, if I did this without co-belligerenting them, I could do it, but I also want to like maximize how much land I'm actually getting out of this war. We're gonna go ahead and invade them for, Potsdam, I guess. So let's really hope for the best. I mean, we do outnumber these guys. At least that, but I mean, it's Polish troops. Poland's very strong. Only do so much. Oh, and Denmark would actually join this war. Okay, Denmark. Do you want anything? No, they don't want anything from Mecklenburg. Perfect. And that just broke their lines with Commonwealth even better. And this is our first battle against Polish troops. We did outnumber them. And that was a pretty easy battle. Was it a stack wipe though? It was. With the Commonwealth, we're going to be taking all of this. We're going to divvy this up pretty much between our March, Brandenburg, and our subject Glogau. I'm not going to own all of this. Don't worry. I'm not taking all that for myself. With us finally reaching the year 1650, we can complete this. Secure the lowlands, get local unrest, monthly autonomy change for the next 20 years. And because we are the strongest trade power in the English Channel with 57% trade power, while England only has 42, and because we also have 3 level 2 centers of trade, we could complete our final mission, which is channel and trade domination till the end of the game, giving us trade efficiency and trade steering. And just like that, that is the entire Burgundian Lotharingian mission tree completed. And this is what your empire should look like if you follow the mission tree like how I did, not expanding outside of any of the provinces that we receive claims on. Everything that you see here are all provinces that we get permanent claims on. And with all that being said, I will see you guys in the next one, in which we will cover the entire Lubeck mission tree. One that I am actually very, very excited for. So I will see you guys in the next one. Chairman out.